Hi, my name is Angus McLean, and I'm the director of Toy Story of Terror. The day starts early for me. Usually drop off my son at school. Morning. And we're here. Filmmaking is traditionally a collaborative process, and at Pixar it's no exception. What's awesome about working at Pixar is it's kind of like being in a team of specialists. I wanted to show you what it was like a typical day making a movie like Toy Story of Terror. Here we are having a meeting. We're talking about our strategy for the day, our strategy for the week.
The 12th is too late.
Everything is planned out in excruciating detail.
Let's see what I can do about getting that.
I'm hearing from the production team where we're at, what we're behind on, what we're ahead on, so I can course correct as the day goes on.
Yeah, we should show that really soon.
I want to highlight here, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up now because you're gonna see it a lot. There's a huge zit on the left-hand side of my neck. You're gonna see it in a few different shots because that's what day in the life, zits. Like one of my favorite genres of movies is the team of specialists movie. It's a bunch of people that each have their odd specialization, and together they form this crack team. I wrote in toys that I enjoyed. For example, I'm a huge Lego fan, so I knew I needed to have a Lego figure.
Built Lego Bunny, built it in real world first. Then we figured out how to break that down into the individual pieces so they could make it in the computer.
Angus wanted to have the imperfections in the Lego Bunny, and I developed a tool which allowed animators to dial in the gaps in between the single bricks.
You can do it, Junior.
Combat Carl's great. He is the ultimate combat toy.
He needed to be a character that was 100% committed.
Combat Carl would like to introduce you to his 1/3 scale counterpart, Combat Carl Jr.
Combat Carl Jr. represents the 3 3/4 inch version of the 12-inch action hero that is Combat Carl. Then there's Pocketeer. His power in the team of specialists is just storage.
Pockets away!
And then finally, we have Transitron, who is the best representation I could hope for of a giant robot that also broke into a bunch of vehicles. Some of my favorite toys are transforming robots of the late 70s.
Who dare summon Transitron?
Because they are the best toys.
I'm coming to get you, Ben.
The film starts very dark. We're in the back of a trunk. It's nighttime. It's a thunderstorm. We felt that the best way to get tension right from the start was to have that horror film. And to really camp it up.
One of the things we wanted to do was replicate the immediacy of shooting a low-budget horror film. There's a rubber bat specialist, Colin Levy, who is typically a layout specialist. And so here is the various rubber bat tests testing the rubber bats for floppiness, crumminess, and hilariousness. And you can see the string in the final product. Now here's tech specialist Nick Lucas, who has made fantastic effects. I wanted kind of a magician escaping, you know, like ta-da! It just feels like a little high budget, like just the shape of the whole thing. If we could take the same effect and shrink it down, just a little smaller and more, it's gonna work brilliantly. Nice work, thank you. The film, for the first half, is this kind of monster movie where there's this unseen monster who's tormenting the toys.
And then we reveal it to be a playful puppy like iguana.
Let's go this instant.
We had a real iguana come in. and we observed it. So we bring in this iguana, and everyone from all these different departments is looking at the iguana from a different aspect. How are we going to get the feeling of that real creature up on the screen?
Does she like lift up, or is it mostly kind of like dragging along, or?
Technical is figuring out how the skin folds around the armpit are going to fit.
Well, we could do a skin sim definitely, but if it looks more like cloth.
Art is figuring out how they're going to stylize that character and make it into Mr. Jones for the movie.
We're trying to get, like, you can tell the eyes a little rounder, a little more appealing.
Bob Pauly, our production designer, who knows the design of Toy Story. He's worked on all the movies. He designed Buzz Lightyear. He's really an incredible guy to have on your team. He's figuring out a way to synthesize Mr. Jones into the Toy Story canon by stylizing the iguana in certain ways that make it feel right at home with Buzz and Woody and Jessie.
Yeah, pretty cute. Morning.
Good morning.
All this talk of Indy the iguana's made me a little sleepy, apparently, so I'm back at the coffee station. And on to animation dailies.
Welcome, everybody, to the final pseudo-animation dailies.
Animation dailies is traditionally where the animators show the shots that they're working on in context to the director every single day. Now, it's useful for all the animators to be there because they're able to see what other people are doing, get inspired, be challenged.
It's not about her exerting, it's more about her accepting death.
I mean, she's holding an iguana back. So I didn't want to lose that tension.
I like where you're going with the eyebrows at the end of the shot. I think you can get there a little sooner.
The animators are crafting the film frame by frame, and it's a very laborious way to communicate an idea, but I come from animation, and I happen to love animation and work with animators.
That expression a little bit, but this shot looks great. You'll get this soon. It's wonderful.
After animation, I'm going to head straight to editorial to see how the finished shots are coming along in the cut of the film. Editorial is where everything comes together. A lot of the film is crafted and made in editorial.
And I was feeling like this shot is way too short now.
Yep.
And so I think it's either lengthen it, and I think the place to lengthen it is in the middle, or cut it.
Editorial is one of the first departments to start, and it's one of the last departments to finish. The script is written and it's performed, and they say that the final draft of the script is written in editorial, and so Axel is definitely a bit of a writing partner.
Blew my mind. Nice work, Morpheus. And now the big reveal. What is that? All right. What's she using? Just I think it's the echo of the floor feels a little bit hollow.
There's a common saying that sound is probably 50% of the movie, and I think in horror films it might even be 60%.
When we give the film to our sound designer, what they're doing is they're looking at the film, and first they're thinking about producing the naturalistic sounds, the environmental sounds, so that everything feels real.
Are we there yet?
Not for a few more hours, Bonnie. You can go back to sleep.
Our characters don't make any sound. I mean, everything is on the computer, right? So we don't get sound for free. Everything has to be created.
Foley is a certain category of sound effects that mostly requires footsteps and body movement.
So we look at the characters and we try to assess what they're wearing. So we have about 100 different pairs of shoes, and then we also have all these different surfaces.
They have this fantastic room at Skywalker Ranch that's basically a movie screen and grandma's attic everywhere. There's just boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff.
Carl boots.
The Foley artists act out every single character and their movements, and they're really good at timing their actions to the screen.
Very nice.
Okay.
Then they're also doing sound design that is about mood.
One of the other elements of sound design that we're trying to evoke here is Jesse's perspective. One of the things that's fun is trying to get inside the mind of the character, and that's also sort of another horror convention where she's scared and she hears her own heartbeat.
And then the music is going to show the tension is building,
The ones that create the suspense a lot of times are the string sections, because they can just hold. And they do what's called a tremolo, and it creates this pause in the action. Feel yourself wondering, okay, what's going to happen now? She's either going to be stuck there or she's going to figure out what to do and how to overcome this. And to me, that moment is the best, because then when she does overcome it, you have this great feeling of relief for her and you want to cheer for her. Musicians love working on a project like this. It's a creative challenge. It's sort of a fun group effort to get it across the finish line.
It was a hugely collaborative team, and a team that had a lot of fun working together. And I think one of the greatest things about watching the film now is I kind of see the fun that everybody had on the screen.
I'm most proud that I got a chance to make the movie with the people I got to make it with. You know, the movie gets finished and then it's just sort of out there, but to making the movie is the thing.
So, Rory, we're videotaping the ride home today, so hope that's all right with you. He signed a release form.